Hey, what's up guys? Josh from TrailBuilt, and even though we sell tires, it doesn't mean that we want you to burn through the ones you have just to sell you more tires, because upgrading to new tires is not cheap. In fact, that's one of the big reasons why we have different financing plans available to help make buying tires affordable for just about anyone. So today we're going to go through some different tips and tricks to help make your tires last a lot longer. And also guys, keep in mind that when you purchase a set of tires on TrailBuilt Off-Road and package them with a set of wheels, that we will mount and balance them for you for free. Plus, if you live in any state in the lower 48, we also ship them to you for free as well, and that is another great way to save some extra money. Number one, and according to the Rubber Manufacturers Association, only 15% of drivers know how to properly check their tire pressures, and I'm guessing it's because the other 85% of drivers have never been off-roading. Off-road enthusiasts, well, we know how to check our tire pressures, but if you are one of the 85% that has relied on your electronic tire pressure monitoring sensor way too much to tell you when to add air, well, then first, make sure you have one of these fancy-dancy tire pressure gauges that you can pick up just about anywhere for a couple of bucks. And second is to manually check your tire pressures when the tires are cold or have been sitting for at least 3 hours. Checking your tire pressures when they are warm can cause the pressures to fluctuate and will give you a reading that will be higher than what it should be when at cold tire pressures. And another thing is, you can't always rely on the TPMS sensors, as the pressure in the tire can fluctuate by about 5 pounds of pressure before the low tire pressure light even comes on, and you run the risk of running lower air pressures than what you should be running. Low tire pressures can cause premature tire wear and an increased amount of rolling resistance, causing your engine to work harder. In fact, the average person spends approximately 11 cents per gallon of gas extra because of low tire pressures, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So then you might be asking, what exactly is the air pressure supposed to be set at in my tires? That's easy to answer if you're running the factory size tires on your vehicle, as the tire pressure info is listed on the label that is on the driver's door lower frame under the latch. But if you have upgraded to a larger size tire, then it can become quite complicated depending on the many different circumstances involved in your particular vehicle situation. This is where the chalk test can really save your tires from wearing down too fast due to over or under inflated tires. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to show you guys exactly how to do the chalk test and a couple of different tips and tricks to make your tires last longer. So let's go. All right guys, so right before we get into the chalk test, to show you exactly how it works, there is one important key factor in making sure this test is as accurate as it can be. Now remember, you're changing your tires, you don't know exactly what the air pressure needs to be because the weight of your vehicle could be different. One guy could have a diesel pickup truck, it's gonna put more pressure on the tires, you might need to have more pressure in your tires to compensate for that, or like Zach's Jeep here, it might not need as much pressure in the tires, and the best way to determine that is really do the chalk test, which we're gonna show you. But before doing that, it's important to have an alignment done first. If you don't have the alignment done and your toe is off a little bit, or even your camber is off a little bit, it's not going to necessarily show you a true representation of the chalk test to get a true accurate tire pressure reading. So make sure you have the alignment done first, and then this will go a lot better. We did go to the store, we picked up some sidewalk chalk. This should be good enough to show you guys how this chalk test works. So if you've never seen it before, definitely stay tuned, and even if you have, maybe you can learn a thing or two, I don't know. But let's go ahead, let's get started and show you guys how it's done. Orange out of here because TrailBuilt orange, except I think it's more of like a peach or a beige, but close enough. The other thing that works to have obviously is a tire pressure gauge. This is the one that Zach had in his Jeep. It's a slime digital, it's not digital, it's analog. So we'll use this as a representation on how much pressure is in the tire. But all we want to do is, we have about 100 yards here of flat concrete that we're gonna just drive straight down at about 25, 30 miles an hour, something like that. Doesn't have to be real fast, but what you do is you basically just chalk about a 6 to 8 inch section across your tires. See, we can already see we have a little bit of cupping going on here. Do you guys see that? So cupping means that maybe the alignment isn't necessarily accurate. Sometimes when you guys get out and you start beating on your Jeeps or your off-road vehicles, it can throw off the alignment a little bit, or even if you have worn suspension components, which brings up a good point, because if you're looking to make your tires last longer and you have worn out shocks, maybe your ball joints are a little bit worn out, maybe your tie rod ends are worn out. If you have suspension components that are starting to worn out, even like a unit bearing that's worn out, it is going to start to cause some premature wear on your tires. A good way to find out if you have any of those issues going on is to lift your Jeep up or your vehicle up off the ground so your tire's basically floating in the air, and you can grab it like this, turn it vertically, and just feel if there's any play. And then you could also grab it horizontally, up and down vertical motion like that, and feel if there's any play. If there's any play up and down, it could mean that maybe your ball joints are shot. It could mean a unit bearing. Side to side like this, it could mean maybe a tie rod end or something like that. So if you do have any play at all in any one of your 4 tires, it'd be good to get it in and get that checked out and replace any of those components that are worn out. That'll also make your tires last longer, saving you money in the long run. So getting back into the chalk test, we're gonna cover up a good amount of area here. So that way we can see that if the tire is overinflated, you're gonna have more wear down the center tread. If your tire's underinflated, you're gonna have more wear on the outer edges on the shoulder lugs. So we covered up a nice big area here. We're gonna go ahead, take it for a spin, come back, show you guys the results. All right guys, so just took it down the road, about 100 yards or so, something like that, went about 30 miles an hour, and I didn't want to turn the wheels at all because we did the chalk test to start. Remember, you want to do all 4 tires, so it is going to take you a little bit of time, but it's worth it because you're going to save some money on having to replace those tires in the long run, or I should say on not having to replace those tires in the long run. So, wow, this is unexpected. So obviously overinflated, right? Because all of the chalk is completely gone on the center of the tire, leaving only the shoulder lugs left to have a little bit of chalk on them on the outer edges. So we know we're overinflated. And one thing to keep in mind when you guys are doing this is, kind of like I was saying before, how the vehicle can make the difference in how much tire pressure you run in your tires. Even if you would just take it to your local shop and say, hey, put some air in my tires, well, they're gonna go to a standard default, whatever pressure it might be. Maybe they'll go off the tag that's on the frame on your driver's door. That's not gonna be representative of your oversized tires. And remember, this is for you guys that did upgrade to bigger tires to figure out how much air pressure you should be running. Now, if you're gonna be doing more towing, or if it's a heavier vehicle, obviously it's gonna be more pressure in the tires than what that tag is gonna say. The other thing is too, is especially for the pickup guys, the pickup truck guys, is the front tires are your steer tires. They're also 80% of the control of your vehicle. Whether you're slamming on the brakes or cornering, the front tires are gonna take the brunt of those kinds of maneuvers. So if you're running more pressure, just a little bit more pressure in the front tires to handle and compensate for the weight of the engine or some of those handling characteristics, that's okay. So even if your tag says 35 pounds per square inch or 35 PSI on the door tag, and you do the chalk test and you figure out that you should be running, let's just say 40, well, it's okay to put a couple more pounds of pressure in those front tires. And in the back tires, if there's less weight back there, if you're not hauling heavy weight in the back, if it's a pickup truck, it's okay to run a little bit less tire pressure in the back tires. So all of that is adjustable, it's dynamic, and it's situational on your particular application. Whether you're driving a Jeep that's an off-road vehicle or a pickup truck that's hauling a lot of weight, all of those types of situations are subjective. So those kind of things are important to keep in mind to get the best life out of those tires as possible. Like I said in the beginning, tires aren't cheap. If you want them to last longer, they require a little bit more maintenance. Tire pressures, rotations, checking the wheel balance, those are all very key important ingredients to making your tires last as long as possible. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna redo this test. We did check the tire pressure before we ran the test. It was at 40 PSI. We're gonna drop it down 5 PSI. We're gonna go to 35. We're gonna redo the test and see how it goes. Let's go. Even after dropping the tire pressures down 5 PSI to 35 PSI, you guys can still see that all of the middle tread here has worn off all the chalk. That means that either A, we're still too overinflated, we're overinflated yet, so we gotta drop down some more, which we're gonna do that. But the other thing that we might have going on here too is if our alignment is off, it's gonna be wearing out that chalk. It's important to remember too, guys, when you're doing this test, that once you chalk the tire, you chalk this section of the tire, take it for a drive, it's important not to hit the brakes too hard. You wanna be nice and even on the brakes. Same with if you're backing up, whatever it is that you gotta do, because if you start to hit the brakes too hard, it's gonna flatten out the tread on here and it's gonna wear more along the shoulder than it is if you just ease on the brakes when stopping to check the chalk test. So make sure you're really easy on the accelerator, really easy on the brakes when you're doing this chalk test so you don't accidentally flaw the chalk test. So, and remember guys, if there's too much chalk left on your center treads, that means that you're underinflated because your center treads aren't touching the ground, which would mean that all the chalk is worn off of your shoulder lugs when you're underinflated. So it's a good way to determine, or at least get you a good starting point to where you need to be on your air pressures in your oversized tires. All right guys, so that was the chalk test. If you guys do have any more questions on how to do the chalk test, or even if you guys have any more input on how to make your tires last longer, definitely feel free and let us know in the comments below. Other than that, if you liked today's video and want to see more videos like this, remember to hit that subscribe. And if you did like today's video, thumbs up to like the video. And guys, as always, we appreciate all of you for watching and all of your support. I'm Josh from TrailBuilt, and we'll see you guys out on the trails.